No, Patsy. Language? Language is the means of communicating ideas and feelings through words, phrases, gestures, and writing.
There are many parts of the language hierarchy.
A clever way to remember this is Ferris Bueller Got a Lucky Day, which stands for Family, Branch, Group, Language, Dialect.
First, there are language families. For example, there is the Indo-European family that is spoken by 45.7% of the world, that consists mainly of English, Russian, German, French, Hindi, Italian, and many, many more. After the Indo-European family, there is the Sino-Tibetan family, with 21.1% of the world speaking.
Next, we have language branches. Language branches are subdivisions of language families that help you get a further identification of a language and where it comes from, and are further subdivided into language groups. An example of a language branch is the Baltic Slavic branch, which is part of the Indo-European family. Within the Baltic Slavic branch, we have the Eastern and Western Slavic groups.
Next, we simply have language. Language is a way of communication through signs, symbols, and sounds. The top three most common languages are Mandarin Chinese, which has 12.44% of the world's population speaking it, followed by Spanish at 4.85%, and thirdly, English at 4.83%. Keep in mind that these statistics are for first language speakers only. Within language, we have standard and official language. Standard language is the language that is recognized by the government and the elite as the language that should be used by all and is the norm to use in all aspects of public life, including school, government, and the media. In England, the standard language is known as received pronunciation, also known as RP. Official language is the language that the government encourages and endorses as the one that everyone that lives there should know and love.
Finally, in the hierarchy, we have dialects. On the national scale, dialects may be thought of as regional variants of a standard language. Although everyone in a region may speak the same language, everyone has their own phrases, vocabulary, and pronunciation, which is where dialects come into place. Major languages have wandered from their origin and now have hundreds of variations.
Spanglish, Franglish, and Danglish are three cases where parts of English have diffused into other languages. In this case, it is diffused into Spanish, French, and German.
Pidgins and creoles are also major things when it comes to language. A pidgin is a combination of languages that borrow words from other languages. Long-term contact and communication between less skilled people often result in the creation of a pidgin. An example of this is Lingala, which is a hybrid of Congolese dialects that the French created to help communication between 270 ethnic groups. A creole is where the pidgin of a language becomes the primary language of the speakers. For example, the Haitian Creole is the language of Haiti, and it came from pidginized French that was used in slave trade.
Next, we have lingua franca. Lingua franca is an established language that comes to be spoken and understood over a large area. It is often used for communication for business purposes. An example of lingua franca is English, which has become a language of international communication. This is due to the large amounts of students learning English as a second language. Also, many non-school-age people are working on learning the language on their own time for jobs, causing it to become a more commonly spoken language throughout the world.
Then, we have extinction of languages. Languages such as Welsh, Gothic, and many more have gone extinct due to improvements in transportation and communication, bringing world languages to most parts of the globe. For example, Gothic, spoken throughout Eastern and Northern Europe during the 3rd century, completely died out during the 16th century. Organizations are trying to preserve endangered languages in a variety of ways. Welsh, an endangered language, is being preserved in Wales via teaching Welsh in schools in hopes of saving it and not letting it go extinct.
Multilingualism is the ability to communicate in more than two languages. An example of a multilingual country would be Belgium, which has three languages, French, German, and Dutch, and is suffering from language conflict. The southern Belgians/Walloons speak French, while the northern Belgians/Flemings speak Dutch. The government wants an official language, and antagonism between the Flemings and Walloons is rising.
Bye, Miss York!